Hey, Bob.
So I just successfully defended my PhD, or my dissertation. Yay. And to celebrate, I bought the chickens some treats. This is mealworms and black soldier fly larvae, which I've had the mealworms before, but not the fly larvae. A couple of the girls are molting now, so I think the treat and the protein is especially important. Here. Chip, chip, chip. Yes. So last time we talked a bit about how Jules Verne poked fun at the Swiss Family Robinson, saying that everything happened miraculously for the castaways in it. Whenever they needed something, it would just magically appear or be available to them. And this time I thought I would talk a little bit about Manalive by Chesterton and how the characters in it felt about the Swiss Family Robinson. So the part that I was thinking of occurs in chapter 3, when one of the characters named Innocent Smith, in his abundance of vitality, decides to declare the home they all reside in sovereign and independent and autonomous, and able to supply everything it needs for itself. This, as it turns out, is a manifestation of one of Chesterton's economic principles, the idea of distributism, or localism as it's referred to today. And as far as I understand it, that is the idea that everything should be done as locally as possible, maybe in an effort to eliminate waste and stabilize the supply chain. But that's irrelevant for our discussion. The point is that Innocent Smith wants the house to be independent, but one of the other characters, named Michael Moon, is a bit skeptical that this is possible, because how could their house provide everything that they need? And to make his point, he cites the Swiss Family Robinson. So I'll start with a little bit of what Innocent Smith says. He says, "Away with local government, a fig for local patriotism. Let every house be a sovereign state as this is, and judge its own children by its own law. Let us begin to be happy together as if we were on a desert island." And then Michael Moon jumps in saying, "I know that desert island. It only exists in the Swiss Family Robinson. A man feels a strange desire for some vegetable milk, and crash comes down some unexpected coconut from some undiscovered monkey. A literary man feels inclined to pen a sonnet, and at once an officious porcupine rushes out of a thicket and shoots out one of his quills." But Innocent retorts, saying, "Don't say a word against the Swiss Family Robinson. It mayn't be exact science, but it's dead accurate philosophy. When you're really shipwrecked, you do really find what you want. When you're really on a desert island, you never find it a desert." And then he adds that we're surrounded by the things that we need, but we just don't see them because we don't take the time or the energy to see them or utilize them. He continues, "If we were really besieged in this garden, we'd find 100 English birds and English berries that we never knew were here. If we were snowed up in this room, we'd be the better for reading scores of books in that bookcase that we don't even know are there. We'd have talks with each other, good, terrible talks that we shall go to our grave without guessing. We'd find materials for everything, christening, marriage, or funeral, yes, even for a coronation, if we didn't decide to be a republic." Michael Moon retorts, saying, well, where would they find a canopy for their coronation from what they have in the house? There's no coronation canopy there. But Innocent Smith, who has the vitality and curiosity of a child, has explored the property more than he has, and knows there is such a canopy, or something that can be used as a canopy. He says, "I bet you've never examined the premises. I bet you've never been round at the back, as I was this morning, for I found the very thing you say could only grow on a tree. There was an old sort of a square tent up against the dustbin. It's got 3 holes in the canvas, and a pole's broken, so it's not much good as a tent. But as a canopy?" And his voice quite failed him to express its shining adequacy. And then he went on with controversial eagerness. "You see, I take every challenge as you make it. I believe every blessed thing you say couldn't be here has been here all the time. You say you want a whale washed up for oil, for the christening. Why, there's oil in the cruet stand at your elbow, and I don't believe anybody has touched it or thought of it for years. And for your gold crown, we're none of us wealthy here, but we could collect enough 10-shilling bits from our own pockets to string round a man's head for half an hour. Or one of Miss Hunt's gold bangles is nearly big enough to—" But he's cut off by Miss Hunt, who says, "All is not gold that glitters." And to this, Innocent Smith even has a retort. He says, "What a mistake that is," cried Innocent Smith, leaping up with great excitement. "All is gold that glitters, especially now we are a sovereign state. What's the good of a sovereign state if it can't define a sovereign? We can make anything a precious metal, as men could in the morning of the world. They didn't choose gold because it was rare. Your scientists can tell you 20 sorts of slime much rarer. They chose gold because it was bright, because it was a thing hard to find, but pretty when you found it." So we're getting a little off topic now, so I'll stop there. But his idea that things will be there when you need them, if you have a little bit of what I call the desert creativity in the margins, is a bit romantic. But it resonates with me right now because if you didn't know this, they often stop paying graduate students towards the end of their program. And that's what happened to me. And so for the past few months, I've just been living off of my savings and whatever I have in the house. And I can tell you that there's a lot of food that I didn't know was there to begin with. So I've been rummaging through my cabinets and finding old expired cans of food and trying to find a way to put what I have together in a palatable fashion. And it works. There's a lot to work with if you just have the time and energy to work with it. And that's another thing. I think of this a lot having been a graduate student for so long. I guess I'm no longer one as of today, which is weird. But one of the problems that I found in grad school, at least the way I've had to navigate it, was that we were constantly busy. There was never any time to stop and think and plan and strategize with our lab projects or with just life in general. We have little of what Thoreau called margin to life. And that margin, in my opinion, is where the most beautiful things happen. And when you have the chance to actually be a good person. Because if you're constantly rushing around, you're going to be less considerate to those around you, be able to help them less, and honestly, just care for the environment less. When you're frantically busy trying to stay afloat, who has time to figure out how to recycle properly? So now that I've graduated, I really want to make a point to live with wider margins to my life so that I can be a better person and give back to the community more. And that'll probably mean being less aspirational with my career, but I think it'll be worth it because I'd rather be a good person than a successful person. Bob's eating the mealworms now. But now I've digressed. Getting back to the point, I love Chesterton's idea that if I were snowed in my house, I would be the better for reading scores of books on my bookshelf that I don't even know are there. And that reminds me of, I think, in Walden, where Thoreau said that the back of one of the food containers, if I remember correctly, was to him the Iliad or the Odyssey while he was out on the cabin by himself. And if you were snowed in with somebody else, you would have talks with each other, good, terrible talks, that you will go to your grave without guessing if you weren't stranded with them. And I had thought about connecting this to the idea of being stuck with somebody in a marriage situation, but one, who am I to talk about that? And two, it was much better said by the hosts of Pints with Chesterton. If you've never heard of Pints with Chesterton and you're interested in him, do check it out. It's two millennial women who explore the works of Chesterton together, and it's just great. I'll try to put a link to the episode in which they explore this topic below. But it's getting dark, and I need to go feed the chickens some mealworms, the ones who are stranded in the chicken coop. A lot of them are molting now, and so they hide in there for a while and try not to get bullied. But until next time, see ya. Hey, Chippy. Oh, I almost forgot. If you wanted to cook along with me as I clear out the expired food in my cabinets, I'll put a little recipe in the description below for more entertainment purposes than anything else, but you're welcome to try it. It's not bad. So, see ya.